Excellence isn't this long-term philosophical strategy. Excellence is about walking down the halls, looking somebody in the eye, smiling, listening, solving a problem, closing a deal. It's being exceptional all day, every day, in the next 5 minutes, the next 10 minutes, the next 30 minutes. Hey, welcome back to Case Studies. As we're doing the book of the month, the review of the month, I am talking today about one of my all-time favorite business books that I've ever read. That there's books that you read once and you like, and then there's books that you read every year, and this has been an every year book for the last 6 or 7 years that I can remember. It's called The Excellence Dividend by Tom Peters. I have to also say Tom Peters, out of thought leaders, business thought leaders that inspire me. He is one of those people. He just lights me up. Everything that he says, I feel like it's spot on. And it has influenced the way that I think about business, the way I think about excellence, the way I think about culture. And so I want to dive right in with 9 points that I took from the Excellence Dividend that I've applied in my life and my business that have made a massive difference. So point number 1 is excellence is the ultimate competitive advantage. In a world of bell curves, in a world where there's less average, average, above average, and then there's this kind of section of outstanding, of world class. And if you can have that as your standard, not good, not average, but outstanding, you will be in a league of your own and you will dominate the market that you're in. And that's been my experience, whether it's been working in door-to-door sales at Vivint or working in finance or in the businesses that we invest in that excel in their individual category or section in the market or place in the world. It's because they obsess with the little things. They accept with delivering massive value. And so having that as an ethos or having that as a philosophy that excellence is the standard. And all of us know that this is true. When we think about the brands that we love, the brands that pull us in, they are just better than everybody else. Like Porsche is a company that I have admired for so long. They have the most beautiful design. I got my first 911 Turbo S. It was 9 years ago. And I think I've had 7 since then, and plan on having one forever. And it's because I love everything about the car. I love the way that it drives. I love the way that it looks. They're just beautiful and they're outstanding. And because of that, they have kind of this cult following of people that have this emotional connection with them. And that's one example of a brand that I love. When I think about Apple products, it's beautiful design. It's, exceptional user experience. And there's so many of these that you could go through and you could find excellence. I just purchased a sauna from a company out of Minnesota called Cedar and Stone. And the company is outstanding. They obsess with excellence. And my experience with this sauna has just been, 10 out of 10. And I love it. I love using it. I love talking about it. I love referring it. Traeger is another one of those companies that I just think is outstanding. And so you find these brands or these brands or these companies that draw you in because they're just better. They have a higher standard and they deliver in a fantastic way. So excellence is the ultimate competitive advantage outside of marketing, outside of positioning your product. If you're just deliver value in a more substantial way, you'll have a great product or service and a great company. Number 2 is put people first always. And he talks about this hypothetical situation where they pay him to come in as a consultant, big Fortune 500 company, and he comes in and he tells them, your people are your greatest asset. And they laugh him out of the room and they say, that's so obvious. But he says, when you look at the best sports teams, the best players on the best teams equal the best outcomes. And we obsess with that talent acquisition in sports, but it's the same thing with our individual businesses. Our people are going to be the difference between if we deliver excellence or if we don't. And your customer is never going to be happier than your employees. So obsessing with the people that you hire, being so intentional on how you hire and making sure that you maintain the culture, a very high standard of hard work and excellence, but then also just treating your people like gold. Todd Peterson is a mentor of mine, and he talks about this experience when he first went into business. And his dad said, make sure that you treat your people like gold. Always deliver the best product or service. Always obsess over the customer and make sure that you deliver max value. But the second one was treat your people like gold. If you take care of your people, you'll always be taken care of. And that's point number 2. Number 3, kindness equals leadership. And the quote that he uses is hard is soft and soft is hard. I've experienced this being in finance, where you'll have exceptionally smart people that come in with hard analytical spreadsheets and accounting and finance numbers, and they make decisions strictly off these hard numbers. And what they miss is the soft part of the business. It's the people, it's the culture, it's the caring, it's the delivering of passion to the customer. And by focusing on the hard, you end up getting a really bad outcome. There's a friend of ours that their company was purchased by a private equity company. And the company came in and completely wrecked the culture and ultimately ended up wrecking the company based on cutting the stuff that was soft and putting a person in place that was all about the numbers. And what they lost was the soul of the company. And they lost the people that actually cared the most about the people that they were serving. And so hard is soft and soft is hard. Culture, values, and trust, those things are what drive excellence. And so, and those are all soft things. And so making sure that you prioritize that. Number 4, execution trumps strategy. So many times we talk about strategy, and that he discusses this concept that a mediocre strategy executed violently, executed with perfection, is so much better than the perfect strategy without proper execution. And I've found that to be true, that, it's not always the best plan that works. It's the execution of the plan, and vice versa. I've seen great strategies that haven't netted us the results that we wanted because of poor execution. Flawless execution supersedes, it delivers results in a disproportionate way. It separates the winners from the losers. Number 5, obsess over the front line. This goes back to putting your people first. He talks about this concept of managing by wandering around and actually being in the trenches and getting to know the people that are on the front lines that are serving the customers and getting to know the customers. I recently had an interview with Jeff Curl, and he talked about one of the best venture capital investors that he ever worked with. And when this investor invested in his company, he came to the board meeting. He flew to Utah, came to the board meeting. And he didn't meet with Jeff and his co-founder. He went and he met with every individual on the team, 40 to 50 individuals. And he just asked them, what do you do? Do you like working here? What problems are you solving? And because he was obsessed on the front line, he had this perspective that was so much different than this like buttoned up PowerPoint that gets delivered to Jeff from the conference room. And so, and it was this lesson that he learned about, if you really want to know what's going on, call the customers. There was another deal that they did. It was LiveView Technologies that's end up, going to be a fantastic outcome, great operators. But when they were underwriting the deal didn't actually fit within their investment thesis. He worked for Pelion Ventures. Pelion's predominantly a enterprise software investor, technology investor. And LiveView is hardware. LiveView is kind of putting a scarecrow up in the parking lot of a Walmart or a Home Depot. It's a camera on a pole. And the team, there was a lot of pushback that, hey, this opportunity doesn't fit within our investment thesis. But Jeff had gone and he'd interviewed the customers, and he talked to the buying agent at Walmart. And this buying agent said, yep, we love them. Crime goes down by 65%. And we're going to go buy 35 next quarter and 35 the next quarter. And we're going to keep buying as many as we can, allocate in our budget. And so he knew that this was solving a real problem with a sticky customer, and had the conviction to go kind of put his neck out on the line for that deal. And it ended up being a great outcome for the firm, and the company's growing like crazy. Design, number 6, design for wow. Tom Peters, he's kind of an evangelist for great design. And he talks about design being differentiator number 1. If all things are equal, how your thing looks and how it feels and how people experience your product matters, and how you design your meetings and how you design your strategy. But optically, like, you look at these companies, and he uses, a lot of data. You've got Tesla, you've got Apple, you've got Porsche, you've got BMW. All of these companies are completely obsessed with creating beautiful things. The design is super important for them. This is kind of a major factor in creating excellence, is having an obsession with design. Number 7, worship the customer. Peter Drucker has a quote that says, the purpose of business is to create and keep a customer. Like, your whole point in doing a business is to go deliver a product or a service to somebody in a way that's so important that they want to continue to pay over and over and over again to experience what you're delivering to that person. If you can do that better than anybody else, you can have a great business. And so this obsession with the customer and their needs and how they experience things and what they want is the difference between delivering an excellent product or service, kind of delivering +1, delivering wow, as he describes it. Number 8, train like crazy. It goes often unnoticed in business, and we kind of anticipate that people have got their training either when they went to college or their previous job, and so we don't have a rigorous training ethos in a lot of companies. But he uses the examples, the Olympics, in the military, especially special operations, in professional sports. Imagine this idea of not training fanatically and showing up for the battlefield or showing up for the game. It's almost laughable. It makes so much sense in sports and in the military that training is just essential to go over that craft over and over and over again until you are so confident that you can go deliver something. You can go deliver an outcome. I was watching the Masters this last weekend, and you've got, the most iconic weekend in golf, and you've got Rory McIlroy that's won all of the other majors except the Masters. And he's had been close a number of times, had an epic meltdown where he was leading on the last day. And this has always been the one that's eluded him. And he goes into the last day with a lead. He's got a couple stroke lead. And in the first couple of holes, he gets a double bogey. He completely erases his lead, goes down one, and then he absolutely executes down the stretch, goes up 3 or 4 holes, and then it falls apart again. You can see the nerves hit, and he actually goes down again late in the round, and ultimately ends up tying the round with a chance to win. And he hits a great tee shot. He hits a wedge into the sand. He chips out, and he's got a par putt to go win the Masters. And it's a putt he has to have hit thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And he misses this putt. And you can imagine, you've spent your whole career. If you look at Rory McIlroy, I mean, he was a phenom since he was 3 years old. and you've spent your entire life, and this is the most important thing to you, and this is the biggest stage and the biggest event in your entire career, and you just missed this heartbreaking putt to go win the Masters, and now you have to go into a playoff hole, and you're without all the momentum. And his caddy pulls him aside, his longtime caddy, his longtime friend, and says, "Hey, pal, we would have taken this on Monday morning." And was basically saying, if someone would have told us on Monday that out of 120 people that we'd be playing in a playoff and have the chance to go win the Masters, we would be pretty excited about that. And it was this reframe of success and failure, and reframing it that us just being in this playoff is a big time success and we need to focus on winning. And he goes out and he hits an absolute monster drive. He hits a wedge 4 feet from the hole, and it hits a 4-foot birdie putt to go win the Masters. And it was so emotional. I think anybody who's a golf fan, was pulling for Rory. But what I saw in that was I saw someone that's trained their entire career so that when the nerves are the highest, and when the pressure is the highest, and when things don't go your way, and bombs are exploding, that you can recalibrate and reset and go back to your center and have the confidence because you prepared for that moment. There's that biblical kind of phrase that if you're prepared, you shall not fear. And that comes down to training. So in our organizations, putting a program or a process in place where we have high standards, where we can elevate our people. Any investment that we make into our people that grows our people ends up ultimately growing our business. And the last one on the excellence dividend is the excellence is the next 5 minutes. Excellence isn't this long-term philosophical strategy. Excellence is about walking down the halls, looking somebody in the eye, smiling, listening, solving a problem, executing on a phone call, closing a deal. It's being exceptional all day, every day, in the next 5 minutes, the next 10 minutes, the next 30 minutes. It's not putting off today for the future. And Tom Peters gets very granular and very narrow and just says that this is about focusing and doing something, deciding you're going to do something and doing something and moving the ball forward. And so all these things combined, that this is a small list of a bigger, more comprehensive Bible of absolute gold for business. I can't recommend this book highly enough. Go read it and reread it and reread it and apply these things in your business, and you will have a bit better business. And just like he says with employees, as you grow, your business will grow. And that's been my personal experience. Thank you, guys.